Hello gamers and welcome back. I'm Rob, of course, or Warshak if you want to call me by my in-game name. And as we move closer and closer to the expansion date, more and more cards continue to get released. And I believe we have roughly 15 to 20 cards to cover in this card review stream. First card we're going to talk about is the Grizzled Guardian. Not one of the most powerful, or I would say the cards that stand out to me in the most out of this reveal. He's an 8-mana 3/5, so he basically is Ascension Shield Master, but he costs double the price. He has Taunt, Death Rattle, recruit 2 minions that cost 4 or less from your deck. So what I'm seeing is this is more of a card that combos really well with Barns. First of all, any card that's going to be able to pull this card out of your deck for the cheaper cost of 8 mana, or the ability like Barns to be able to basically summon a 1 mana copy of it, has Taunt, and it's going to summon, the Death Rattle is what makes this card good, not necessarily the stats of the Taunt. So in Wild, I think this actually might be a pretty good card. There's Piloted Treader, there's Brand, there's stuff like that. But currently, I'm looking at like the Druid components of what is Druid right now. We have Jade, we have Big, and we have like aggro-ish. There's not really a really good Taunt Druid floating around right now, and I don't think there's like, all you would have to do is silence this card, and then all of a sudden it's just like really bad, right? Or a Polymorph. So it's just like, normally when you pay like a high premium for a minion, you want to get a really good effect most of the time right away. And if it's not right away, it has to be like a super good effect, like the Druid Legendary that summons all of the taunts that died that game. Like, it's a Death Rattle, yes, it's hard to pull off, but if you pull it off, it's crazy good, right? This card, it's not changing the game. Like, it's a good effect, but it's not that great. So I don't think this card overall is that appealing to me. The next card we're going to look at is the Grumble Worldshaker, the Shaman Legendary. Super cool picture, in my opinion. It reminds me of BC. I'm thinking of the area. It's like right next to the Hellfire Peninsula. It's like, it starts with a V, I think. It's all planty and spory, and that was a really cool area. So this guy is a 6-mana 7/7, so obviously we know as Shaman cards, a lot of the time, the mana cost versus the stats are always pretty high. Battlecry, return your other minions to your hand. They cost 1. I think this card is really good. I think this card is really, really good. The things that come out to mind are cards with battle cries. You look at Jades, we have the Jade Chieftain, we have Jade Spirit, we have a lot of elementals, like the Servant of Kalamos, we have Blaze Caller, we have the Shaman Legendary Elemental. So, like, this card allows you to trade in, and then from there, you're going to be able to basically return them to your hand and replay them again. This just seems really, really good. like really good. Plus, he's an elemental, so you're actually going to be able to get this guy from Servant of Kalamos. And imagine that you get 2 of these, and then you're just like rotating them off of each other because you're paying 1 mana for the 6/6 that gives you a 7/7 that returns everything else to your hand, and then you're being able to play the other 1 mana Grumble Worldshaker to return the other one, so you're just like in this flux of just going fucking nuts, playing all these 1 mana elementals that are generating retarded amounts of value. So, I mean, this seems like a really cool card. One of the things that Shaman lacks right now is the ability to have a super late game win condition. If you look at Priest, they have the inevitable, you take 36 damage or some stupid stuff with Anduin, with the 0 mana, with the Raza, and the Mind Blast. They have all that. Eventually, you're going to die in 1 turn. You look at, let's say, Warrior. They have, like, the Fatigue that they never run out of cards, or they have Quest Warrior that's going to do 8 damage a turn. You know what I'm saying? You look at Jade Druid. Eventually, you're going to die to Jades if you don't play the Geist. If you look at Big Druid or Big Priest, they have these huge minions. What does Shaman have right now besides Evolve Shaman? What is there? You have Evolve Shaman, you Doppelgangster Evolve, you clear the board, they die. Like, they swarm the board, and then they win through the Bloodlust, and that's it. There's no inevitability thing with Shaman right now. You look at Jade Shaman, it's just a worse version than Druid Shaman. It's a little bit faster, but if you're trying to sell me 2 Jade decks, you're not selling me Jade Shaman. So this kind of gives a, like, Elemental Control Shaman some sort of super value kind of thing going on. Besides, currently they have Spirit Echo, but that's, again, it's a little slow. Takes 4 mana or 3 mana. You have to have cards on the board like this. You could play it on 1-2 minions, and it's perfectly fine because not only you're resetting them, you're getting their ability again right away, and you're paying a cheap mana cost. With Spirit Echo, you have to totally replay the minion and all of its mana cost. So I think this is a super good card, in my opinion. It won't be played in every Shaman deck, but it'll be played in any form of Elemental and or Control Shaman, for sure. This next card is the King of the Memes. It's an 8-mana 5/5 Battlecry swap decks with your opponent. Give them a ransom spell to swap back. So what this guy does, he's an 8-mana 5/5, and then he's going to give your opponent a ransom spell. That spell costs 5 mana, so they can choose to play that spell for 5 mana to swap decks back, right? So you're developing an 8-mana 5/5. There's that 3. So normally 5/5 in stats is roughly worth 5 mana. So you have this 3 mana left over, which was the whole swapping of the deck. But your opponent actually has to pay 5 mana. So you're actually up 2 mana with this card because your opponent has to waste 5 just to get their own deck back. So I don't think this guy is as bad as he looks. I don't think he's going to be some, next level competitive card, but he's gonna be definitely, this guy is gonna make some highlight videos, because you just, like, let's say you're like, oh my gosh, you're playing like mage, right? And then you throw down like a counter spell or you throw down like a mana bind, and then all of a sudden you're just swapping decks back and forth, or you're stopping them from swapping your deck, or you're playing like a really shitty deck, like you're playing a horrible deck, you manage to live till turn 8, and then you counter spell, and then they have the shitty deck for the rest of the game. I don't know. I just feel like there's going to be a lot of highlight videos with this particular guy. And, maybe there's cards that are going to come out that put cards in your deck that aren't good. Like, there used to be a card that, the Shade card, and it was like a 4-mana 7/4. And it said put like a card in your deck that when you draw it deals 7 damage to you or something. So what if you like fill your deck with like some form of mine cards, like when they blow up mine, and then like you give that to your opponent, and then they just like blow up the next turn. That would be so rude. So cool card. Not competitive, not super, crazy good, but cool. The next one we're going to be talking about is the Lone Champion. This is a 3-mana 2/4 Battlecry. If you control no other minions, gain Taunt and Divine Shield. So he's kind of like a bringer backer. There's like 3 forms of cards in this game, in my opinion. I kind of classify. One of them is if you're behind on board or behind, they're comeback mechanics. So you have the cards that aren't necessarily get you ahead, and they're not necessarily bring you back. They're just good in general. The card is not necessarily really good at one point versus other points. It's just, period, this card does this, and it's pretty decent. Then you have cards that are kind of like win more. Like once you get ahead and you play this, you get even further ahead, but let's say you're behind and you draw that card, the card is horrible. So this is more of a you're behind, let's catch back up. That's what this guy does. I don't necessarily think this is like Taunt and Divine Shield is good and Taunt is good, but like 3-mana 2/4, that's like not all, like this card is not, like the only time this is good is if you are behind. So I don't really like that card that much. But it is neutral, so maybe. But it's not. Maybe it's good in Arena. Raven Familiar. 2-mana 2/2 Beast. It's a mage card. Battlecry, reveal a spell in each deck. Yours costs more, draw it. So, hello, Joust. If anybody remembers the Joust mechanic, this is basically what that was. I'm trying to think back and relating to other Joust mechanics that we might have saw. There was I think the Hunter card. It was a 2-mana 3/2 Beast, and said reveal a card in each deck, and if your Beast or whatever card you got was higher, you draw it, and that was played in a lot of Beast decks. So as we know, Mage, maybe some form of a big Mage spell deck. I'm thinking of spells. We got like Tome, Fireball, Firelands Portal. Nobody really runs Pyroblast right now. And I don't know. It's taking up a 2-mana slot, so it's like Sorcerer's Apprentice, Cult Master, what is it, Arcanologist. And I don't think you'd ever play this over an Arcanologist, because Arcanologist is a guaranteed draw yourself a secret. I would have to see, but I don't think, like, if you get it off, it's obviously good. If this was draw a spell every time, this would be like an amazing card. But the fact that it's Joust, and then you've got cards like Frostbolt in your deck, you've got Secrets in your deck. But, if you're playing against an opponent with not a lot of cards, you look at Rogue. They have Shadow Step and Cold Blood. That's, if it's Tempo Rogue. That's, you're always going to beat a Tempo Rogue. And you look at Evolve Shaman, they have Jade Lightning, or I guess they have Bloodlust too. But most of the time, it's like Evolve, Jade Lightning, Devolve. Most of their stuff is pretty cheap as well. Priest, everything's really cheap as well. So maybe this will find a way. Because currently I'm thinking all like popular decks, unless Druid. Druid has Ultimate Infestation, Spreading Plague, Nourish, Swipe. Yeah, you don't want to play this. They have Innervate too, and like Earthen Scales and Wild Growth and Jade Blossom, but It's like a 50-50 against Druid. I think it's good. I don't think it's amazing, but I think it's pretty good. For shizzles. Moving to the next one, we got the Rummaging Kobold. A 3-mana 1/3. Obviously, his stats suck, but his battle cry, what do we got going on here? Return one of your destroyed weapons to your hand. So as we know, with the new legendary weapons that are going to be out for every class, a lot of people are going to be playing weapons, which means there's a lot of weapon destructions, and you need anti-weapon destruction with the Kobold. So will we see this guy? Maybe if there's a particular deck that its legendary weapon is critical to the success of their end game or mid game or whatever kind of game they're playing, we might see one of these, maybe even two of these. But if we see these guys, then we're just see even more weapon destruction. So instead of playing one Gluttonous Ooze, we'll run 2 Gluttonous Ooze and a Harrison Jones. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't matter how many times you return that shit to your hand. We gonna kill it. We gonna kill it. We gonna kill it big time. We're gonna draw cards while we're doing it and gain armor while we're doing it too. So, I don't really think this card is that good based on that, because if we just see this card, we'll just see more weapon destruction. If weapons are that popular that we're bringing them, we're fucking monster reborning them from the graveyard. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna be Jones and the museum are coming back, and we're gonna have we're buying year tickets to this museum. All right, next card, the Seeping Oozeling. 6 mana 5/4 battle cry. Gain the death rattle of a random minion in your deck. Hold on, I gotta sip water for this one. I really like the picture. So what all right. I actually think there might be some form of big hunter coming from a couple of the cards that we've seen thus far in the recruit mechanic, which is basically just big decks. I don't know why Blizzard is pushing big decks to be a thing, because I saw like Big Priest and Big Druid, and then I made Big Shaman, and I don't know, maybe they really want, you know, Big Hunter and Big Warrior to be, I think out of all of the decks, Big Druid and Big Warrior should be the 2 decks that can be big. I think Warrior should have had a big deck a long time ago, but poor Warrior. Anyway, to this card, if it gets Savannah Highmane, you're chilling. If it gets like Kindly Grandmother, it's pretty good. You know, it depends on how good these death rattles are in your deck. Also, you could play the Abominable dude, Abominable Bowman, and that gets to summon a beast that died this game, and that beast could have death rattle. Holy shit, the Inception, that could be bad. All right, so you play this, it triggers an Abominable Bowman. So the effect of that triggers when this dies to summon a Savannah Highmane, and then you can play dead and summon 2 of the 2/2s and still keep a Highmane. Some shit. That sounds so dumb. Don't let that be a thing. Anyway, I don't think this is that bad of a card. I don't think it's that good of a card either. It's not really a beast, so it doesn't have beast synergy. The battle cry makes it good, but the death rattle makes it weak to silence, and a 6 mana 5/4 that gets silence is not that great, because normally you play Savannah Highmane, so you're going to play 2 Seeping, 2 Oozelings. That means you're playing basically 4 6-drops, and 4 6-drops currently in a Hunter deck is a lot. Plus you have Rexar, because if you're going to play some late game mid-range Hunter, you're going to play Rexar, because that's a huge value generator. So I don't know. I like the card, kind of, but I don't know where it's going to fit. I think it has potential. I don't think it's just shit, but I don't think it's like, it's got competition, you know what I mean? There's Savannah Highmane, and that 6 mana slot is a hard one to break. Silver Vanguard, 7 mana 3/3. Okay, well, you better be packing a lot under that armor. Death Rattle, recruit an 8 cost minion. Again, a card that benefits off cards like Barn. Hunter, play dead. You get basically a free 8 from your deck. You got cards like the Cube, where you'd kill this and get its ability, then it would resummon and get its ability twice. Dude, there's gonna be big decks, man, because you got so many. Look at this. It's a 7 mana 3/3. The stats just suck, but it's Death Rattle, recruit. But then you can kill this card and then just make 2 more. You got Moat Lurker, that's going to be a thing. Oh my god. It's going to be an 8 mana Clown Fiesta. Hopefully they make some shitty 8. That's what they're also making, a lot of shitty 8 mana. Not a shitty 8 manas, but the beast that we just saw, like at the start, it's going to help out. So the 8 manas are less powerful, cuz right now, like if you could pick between like a 9 and an 8, sometimes you'd pick the 8 more so than the 9, because you have like Tyrion, Rag the Light Lord, Alakir. You've got some you have some really powerful stuff. For 9, you have like Ysera and like Obsidian Statue. I guess 9 has actually gotten better. 10 is probably, 10 is like Rage, but there's like N'Zoth and Yogg, and those are really bad. Anyway, this card definitely has potential. Again, with this one, another kind of pushing big decks. A 6-mana 4/4 Battlecry. Reveal a spell from your deck. Summon a random minion with the same cost. I'm thinking, you know, you could play there's a couple different ways to do this. You can play this in Mage. You can play this in Priest. And you can play this in, there's one more deck that came to mind. Druid. And, you know, you reveal Ultimate Infestation. You can reveal Pyroblast, Firelands Portal. Priests have Holy Fire. They've got Free from Amber. You've got Mind Control. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're playing the 6-mana 4/4, and if your deck basically contains a lot of these high-level spells, so you basically can... I don't know how you do that, though, because in order for you to play, like, a late-game deck like that, you would need a lot of the field removal. A lot of the field removal is cheap spells, so... We'd have to see. Has potential, though. Again, a lot of these cards have potential. It's all determining on what the meta looks like. Because if we have a lot of big decks, I mean, aggro is going to come out. Aggro is going to come out quick. Aggro is going to be like, you know what? Fuck you playing all these 7 mana 3/3s, 8/8s, and comboing and killing shit to make more shit and make this shit. You need 10 mana to do all that. You're gonna make it to 10 mana because I'm gonna kill you at the 4 mana. I'm gonna kill you when you're at 5 mana. I'm gonna kill you before you do anything. You know why? Because I'm Huntard. I'm Pirate Warrior. I'm Evolved Shaman. I Bloodlust you. I kill you big time. So we'll have to see what happens. But a lot of these cards have like really big tempo, swingy board craziness going on here. But it's going to be depending on also what else gets released. Because obviously we haven't seen the full set. This next fucking card though, like G fucking Willikers. Temporus, hopefully I'm saying that right. Super cool picture. Dank Tank makes me want to play World of Warcraft. He's a 7-mana 6/6 dragon battlecry. Your opponent takes 2 turns. And then you take 2 turns. You get a time warp. You get a time warp. Look under your seats, folks. Everybody gets a time warp. ×2. So, I obviously in some form of combo priest, you want to do this. You play this card, you copy, you put like a Doomsayer next to it. They let the first turn slide. No. You play this Doomsayer, they don't have a board, they develop a minion, they do something, they clear your shit. Then from there, you play a minion, you give it health with Divine Favor, shieldings, you interfire at the second turn, and you can attack face for, like, maximum damage. So this is going to be maybe, like, you basically, I think this card is going to be into combo Dragon Priest. You're going to get the board. You're going to win from just tempo shit. If you don't win through... Actually, this can even be found in Control Dragon. Take that back. You're not playing Tempo Dragon. You're playing Control Dragon. So, right, you can play Control Dragon deck. You're going to get all the combo pieces in your hand. You're going to put yourself at 30 life. Make some taunts on the board. Do things to make you protected, right? You throw down this guy. They obviously can't kill your entire board and do your entire life in 2 turns. If they did, you played the control matchup wrong and you probably should have lost anyway. But if you don't, you having 2 turns that you're able to play minions and also attack in the same sort of turns. So whether you're OTKing them with spells and like Velen and Mind Blasts and Holy Smites and all that shit, or you're doing some sort of creature combo with Divine Favor, Inner Fire, this is going to make for some nasty fucking... This is nastiness. If that works out. Like, this gives OTK Priest a whole nother level of fucking time warp. Because you don't need to meet some quest requirement. You don't need to play an entire deck based on winning with Sorcerer's Apprentices and Fireballs. You just have a single card that does what their whole deck was meant to do. You have Exodia, and they have all the pieces, and they need all the pieces to do the big shits, and you just got one big shit. And you play that shit, and it's the big... It's the good stuff. So, I don't know. I see this being a really annoying card if something like that happens. And you better believe I'm going to try to make something like that happen. But at the same time, I'm hoping nothing like that happens because I don't want to play against that shit. Aggro is going to save us. I'm just kidding. Nah. I hope it's more of a mid-range meta. Mid-range control meta for sure. I don't like aggro metas. And it's been good lately. Aggro has been... There's nothing dominating too much right now. Besides Druid. Which is still... It's Druid and Rogue right now, basically. But, whatever. Alright, Twig of the World. Twig. Here's another basically OTK combo deck. You could look at this card and say, like, Rob, like, what the hell are you talking about? OTK combo deck. So it's a 4-mana 1/5. You're obviously paying a lot for this Twig. But its Death Rattle says gain 10 mana crystals. So When this effect triggers, you basically, it's like Nourish. You gain them right away. So you can spend 10, kill this, get 10 back, spend that 10. So you basically can get up to 20 mana in one turn, 22 if you have 2 Innervates in your hand. So what I'm seeing here is some form of Malygos OTK Druid coming up, because currently you don't need OTK-ness for Jades. Jades will overwhelm your opponent eventually, and you'll just win through stats. But this gives you some form of potential to pop this. So you go like Malygos, right? You pop this card, you get all your back, you Malygos, and then like 1 spell or whatever. And then you pop this weapon through attacking. You have to time this out pretty well. You get your 10 mana crystals back. You go like Faceless Manipulator on the Malygos. You have 5 mana left over, and you go like Moonfire. And now Moonfire, you know, casual 0 mana, deal 10 damage, you know, kind of deal. You play like Moonfire. You got some swipes in there if you want some swipes. It all depends. You can do a lot of different shit, and you'll like crazy damage. Did I mention? Oh, no, the Jade thingy. Oh, I was thinking of the new Druid card that upgrades over time, but it's to a minion, not to anything. That would have been fucking disgusting. We were talking about like 16 damage, 1 mana card. Holy shit, 2 of those bad boys, you're pumping out 32 deep dish damage. Anyway, OTK Druid is going to run this, if OTK Druid is a thing. But with cards like this, I think it will be a thing. Next card, the Unidentified Maul. 3 mana, 2/2, gains bonus effect in your hand. Okay. We've seen all these exciting cards, and then we get the Unidentified Maul. Gain, I don't know what bonus effect means. Does it mean like Wind Fury? Does that mean like +1 attack, +1 armor? I don't have enough information about this card. I don't even know what class it belongs to. I'm assuming Paladin. I don't think this would go into maybe, I don't think Warrior. Probably Paladin. Either way, I don't have enough information. I don't think it's not good, but it's not terrible. And the last card we're going to go over is the Zola the Gorgon. This is a really interesting one. So we got a 3 mana 2/2 battlecry. Choose a friendly minion, add a golden copy of it to your hand. So I like to add a golden copy of it to your hand. It's just like a nice little flavor, because she like reminds you of the, what is it, Medusa, with the eyeballs and the snake and the freeze and stuff. I don't know why that makes it golden, but you know, it's cool. So I think about like Quest Rogue right now. You know, Quest Rogue is not really that bad of a spot. It wins against a lot of slower mid-range decks or control decks. It has a really high combo capability of dealing 30 damage in, you know, 1 to 2 turns pretty often, pretty consistent. Adding a card that allows you to add a copy of a friendly minion without having to combo it is really nice. On top of that, we've got like a Jade Rogue, which really isn't a thing right now, or like a Death Rattle Rogue. And this allows you to copy those without comboing. Granted, you're paying like a 3 mana 2/2, but it's like a shadow caster that doesn't. It's a shadow caster basically. There's a 5 mana 4/4, copy a minion, return to your hand as a 1/1, and this says, you know, basically the same thing, but it's not a 1/1. And shadow caster's good, so I should assume this is good, right? And it's a 1 of per deck. I think that's correct. I think because Shadowcaster, you can run 2 of them right now. It doesn't necessarily mean you want to run 4 of them. Because if you don't have the board, you'll have nothing to copy. Plus the fact that it doesn't make it a 1/1. Like the Shadowcaster, that's a really good ability. Because like, let's say you Shadowcaster an Aya or a Jade Spirit. Like the reason you play those cards is to summon more Jades, not because they're just powerful on their own. But this card, you're actually going to want to use this on a card that's fairly good. Because you're going to be replaying it. I guess you could use it for value generation too. You could use it on N'Zoth. You could use it on a bunch of stuff. You can use it on Vile Spine Slayer. It's a good card. I like this card. And there's also a card that we're missing. It actually came out while I was doing this video. I glanced over and saw it. So let me see if I can find the card. If you guys don't mind. Here it is. I saved it, and let me pull it up and like, here it is for you guys. Here you guys go. I'll make it, yeah, this should be fine. So let's, sorry, normally I have this done, but it literally popped up on my screen as we were just finishing this. So the Benevolent Djinn, the 3 mana 2/4 elemental paladin card, question mark apostrophe. At the end of your turn, restore 3 health to your hero. I mean, that the end of your turn, 3 health to your hero, that's a lot of healing. I'm not gonna lie, that's a sizable amount of healing if this card isn't dealt with. I don't think this card is that bad, and it's an elemental, which is interesting. Are we gonna see some form of elemental power? Like, why would they name it elemental? This reminds me of the I think it was a 3 or 4 mana mage card. It was like the it was a Secret Illusionist or something, and it was a 3 or 4 mana 2/4 or something like that, or 3/4. And at the end of your turn, if you control the secret, you heal yourself for 4. That had a requirement, and it was understated. This for 3 mana 2/4 isn't necessarily that bad. Its ability makes up for it, I think, pretty well. It's just how important is early game healing in Paladin? Currently not really that important. If you think of like what Paladin has, they have Forbidden Healing, which can heal them up. Basically, it heals for 20 if you want to use all 10 of your mana. Very flexible, and it's a spell. On top of that, you have Rag the Light Lord, heals for 8. You've got Uther, the Ebon Blade, which heals for basically 15 over 3 turns with the weapon, plus you gain 5 armor. You also have cards like Lay on Hands and Ivory Knight. You have Black, I think it's Black Knight. He heals you, I believe, for like spells you play or some shit. He hasn't played, but maybe he will be. So I don't really think this card is that important. If aggro, I guess if there's some form of like burn deck out there where like you need that much healing, but like why wouldn't you just play Forbidden Healing over this card? Because then you're like this. If your opponent's, I don't know. Maybe this is just not supposed to be that great of a card. Like, it's not a bad card. Like, you know, a 3 mana 2/4, like an arena, this is gonna be pretty good. Just as a card that heals you, because healing is not always the easiest thing to get in arena. And if you could heal for 3 every turn, your opponent's never gonna deal damage to you. Like over 2 turns, you heal that damage of a fireball. So this card isn't bad. It's just like currently, where does it fit in Paladin, right? Like it's not like I'm gonna play this in my control Paladin. Why would I? I can just play something better. And I'm not playing this in aggro or Murloc Paladin because I don't need to heal. Because I'm just going face. So we'll have to see. So with that, that wraps up all the cards that we currently have. Of course, as more cards get released, we'll continue to cover them and talk about them. Again, this expansion is going to be released pretty soon. I believe December 7th. It's that Thursday of the first week. I'm going to confirm right now. Yes, so 2 weeks away from when you see this video. New set's going to be dropping. We're going to be having a lot of fun with it, and I'll do a pack opening stream, but unfortunately, it's not about the video, but just letting you guys know that normally I always stream like the week after a new set comes out, like every day for like a long time, but I'm going to New York, so I'm gonna do my best to stream while at New York, and then like up to the leaving of the flight in New York. So if you don't see me streaming off all these new cards, it's because I'm like in New York or flying on the plane. But either way, I'm gonna do my best to kind of like, you know, deck build and do everything I normally do, but also not being in the normal, like, I'm not gonna be home while I'm doing it, but I'll do my best for you guys. So with that, thanks for watching. I'm gonna catch you in the next one. Of course, I'm Grumble Worldshaker, and happy whatever the hell day it is.